So in the last video, we were working on the second Gustav Becker. We were able to get the plates cleaned up, the pivots polished, the pinions, we went over them with the fiberglass brush. And we also went over the main springs and cleaned them up with some steel wool. In this video, we're going to continue working on that. It's already been through the ultrasonic cleaner. So this video, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to little finishing touches on the brass plates and the bushings by cleaning those out. And then we're going to assemble the clock and get it on the test stand. In the last video, I took some Neverdol to these plates. That didn't come out all the way, but it still looks way better than it did. These plates are way better than they were previously. So the first thing I'm going to do to these plates is I'm going to take these smoothing broaches, they're just circular, and I'm going to try and clean out all the bushings in case they have any burrs in them. So we have a broken suspension spring. These two would go together, right? And this flexible steel in here, it's snapped off, so we're going to have to replace that. So the verge goes into the back of the bridge with one of the pivots. You have the suspension spring here. You have the part here that the pendulum attaches to. It goes through the crutch. It goes up here. And it attaches to the top. All right, that one is pretty close. If I push it, it goes to 0, but it comes back off to 0.03, which is, or 0.04, which is what we pretty much had on our clock, which is great. And this is perfect. I was having trouble getting the pliers to be able to get this pin in, so I'm going to use this vise and just squeeze it. Now we have that pushed all the way through until it's flush with that hole. Pliers still aren't working with me too well, so I'm going to use this little baby hammer. Well, that's as far as that wants to go. We have a lot of excess coming off the one side and it doesn't want to go in any further, so I'm going to clip some of that off. There we go. Much better. Not as much on both sides. And that's the suspension spring. So after going through with all the smoothing broaches, I go in with a toothpick to help get out some of this old gunk. Just getting out any of that old gunk that the cleaner didn't get or the smoothing broaches brought out. You'd be surprised how much gunk comes out of these bushings after it's already been through an ultrasonic. Kind of hard to see on the camera, but there's definitely some discoloration on the tips and it kind of in the middle of the toothpicks from me going and cleaning those bushings. Now, after we got the plates cleaned, now we're going to go and we're going to clean pivots on the wheels. So this is just really, really soft material. I'm going to do that to all these smaller pivots. Now on these bigger ones, I'm going to use some of this Rodico. It's kind of sticky like putty, but you can just stick these ends in and it picks up a lot. Or like on the front of these big arbors, I can just roll it over for that thin edge up here on the top. I identified the time barrel because it's got the number 4 here that's stamped on it from a note that we've taken while taking it apart. And I verified that this is the one that fits in it because one of these arbors fits really well into one barrel and the other barrel it doesn't. So this is the correct one for that. And now we've got to get this arbor back in the mainspring. I like these for bending these springs. I'm just going to go in here. I'm just going to kind of twist it around a little bit, and that's probably good enough for this inside bit right there. And now we have that properly secured, but I did forget one step. Just going to take a rag with some oil on it. Now we got a lightly coated mainspring. And then for this, we just carefully wind it up. So for the next trick, we have to get, after we already have this in the secured in the collar, we're going to try and get this attached to that inside piece. So push that in. We come back to the other side and make sure we get the arbor where it's supposed to be. And then we're just going to turn it. Perfect. And there you go. One barrel complete. So again, we're going to try and get it to attach nicely to the inside right here. So it's about here. We're just going to try and roll it up. Perfect. Now I'm just going to get the cap on again. Barrel 2 done. So besides the quality of these old German clocks like the Gustav Beckers, and I'm sure there's a lot of other brands, but Gustav Becker is probably the one as far as German clocks go, that I've worked on the most. This is only my 4th clock that I've been working on since I've really been getting back into working on these old clocks. But part of the thing that I really enjoy is the nostalgia, because I lived in Germany for 2 years. I was 13 to 15 years old. My Deutsch is scheiße, but I can still order un Schnitzel mit Pommes frites and un Hefeweizen. That is one thing. When I'm hanging out with my parents, sometimes we'll have some good German beer. Something about working on these old German clocks, it really brings back that those old memories sometimes. I really do miss Germany. I did get to visit a few more times when I was in the military on my way to deployments. 5 deployments, 4 to Afghanistan, 1 to Iraq, and many times we would stop in K-Town or Kaiserslautern. I'm not exactly sure. I'm probably butchering it in the Deutsch, but it was always a good time. I don't know how Germans feel about the Turks and their country, but I do love a good doner kebab. Oh man. Or gyros, however many people think of it. But in Germany, they're doner kebabs. And it is so good. I can always go for one of those. This second Gustav Becker I've been working on has been surprisingly tough. I thought that it would be a little simpler to work on with the one cam lever wheel compared to the last Gustav Becker. And not true. It took me an hour and a half, 2 hours playing with it to get it adjusted properly so that the hammer was working. So I'm going to speed that up for this video for y'all, because who wants to watch that long of a fast forward? I'll probably just cut through a few spots and let you watch all the different areas. But really, there's not a lot of commentary while I was working, because I was just focused on the work. So another issue that I came across later on in the video was trying to get it on the test stand, and it wouldn't run. So I got my dad to come help me, and we troubleshooted it, and we played with it for a while, and we realized that that clock's going to have to come apart. Going to have to watch the end of the video to figure out what it is, though. So got it assembled with this front lever on. I was able to test it, and the problem we're coming to right now is it stops right there, and it's lifting the hammer a little bit, and we don't want any hammer lift. Now if I can just get everything to go back together nicely, that might have fixed the issue. The adjustments usually aren't too difficult to make. It's just getting everything to go back in the proper places nicely. Alright, I might have to adjust it again, because I think that's for the half hour and the hammer didn't drop. Taking it apart for third or fourth time now, but this is the second time I'm making an adjustment to get the hammer to fall right. So I've been working on this adjustment now with all the times I played with it for probably an hour and a half since getting this thing reassembled. And I now have it where it's operating great. But I want to move the warning wheel just a little bit back so that it has a little more motion to it before it stops. Because it's literally, it's right there at where it would go in the warning. I don't want it to be so close that it just passes it and keeps going. So here we go. Hopefully nothing else moves. Alright, so that one didn't take too long. Let's just test it. I really hope this is the last bit. Put the lever back in and we'll test it. We did it. So next steps is to oil the whole clock, get it all the bushings, and then I'll put on the last levers and everything, and then we'll go ahead and put some light grease on those friction points just to make sure that's something my dad likes to do. Not sure if all the clock makers do, but it's what we do. Alright, so we got our clock oil here. I just dip this little guy in here. I'm going to wait to do the verge up here until I get the crutch on and everything with the verge. I'm going to go ahead and do these. One of those is the hammer, one of them is the strike movement for the lever that gets all that going. Normally I wouldn't do those with this clock oil, but since they're inside the brass plate, I'm going to. Got that lever secured with this little bit of metal right there, a little metal wire. Gonna work just fine. Right, no need to bang on that any more than necessary. Now we just need to oil the verge on the front and the back, and this clock is just about ready to get on the test stand. So I've been trying to get this running. Normally, without a pendulum on, they'll just run super fast. I'm going to try just loosening those bolts a little right there. Well, that didn't work. No, it's not level. Let's try to fix doing that. Well, after getting it level, it does want to run a little better, but what is going on? Next possible fix is loosening the crutch on the back a little bit where the bridge is holding the verge. Maybe I need to push it up a little bit or something.
There's plenty of power going all the way up the train, so that it's got to be on the heartbeat. It's got to be on those where the pallets are hitting on the escape wheel. And so now we're going to have to. We adjusted the pallets, and they are still not engaging correctly. So now we've got to modify the teeth. Got to make sure they're all the same all around.
We adjusted the recoil mechanism by raising this bit right here that holds on the front of the clock for the verge. We tilted it up to try and give it some more space so it would run better because it was running rough on the escapement wheel. We raised it all the way up we could, and then it started running wild because you started skipping the teeth then. So my dad is thinking that the teeth are worn. The teeth on the escapement wheel might be a little slightly messed up. So we're talking about doing escapement wheel surgery essentially, by trying to straighten out the tips and then maybe taking the burnish file, put the escapement wheel on the lathe, the jeweler's lathe, and then just taking a burnish file and just raising it up slightly until you're getting all the teeth on that escapement wheel down to the same. Because what, even raising one side of the verge up, it got it to where it was able to run enough, but every single time it's stopping, does not matter. So on the Time Trax 185 we have, it's the clock timing machine, we were getting it down from 5 down to 40. You know, it goes back and forth some, but it stopped the last time, it stopped on a 27. So it was in beat, it's doing fine, and then even on those low numbers, it's just stopping. So my dad thinks that's the problem with the escapement wheel. The other issue we're having is this fly. It's too loose on, this is the first time it's happened to me, but it's too loose on this. So it's making the hammer go too fast. That's an easy adjustment, we'll fix that. But that's another video. So we'll see you later.